Hello, hello. Sorry for the chaos with the overlay there and going, 20 seconds into the negative here. I'm frazzled this morning. Welcome everyone, David Snowpick here from Snowpick Games. I could see a couple of people rocking the overlay already. We have Michael, who is like an orc king with a braid, which is pretty cool. Miguel de Dios Matias, who's got like a helmet and maybe some armor going there. Looking good, folks. Let me remember the keys that I need to press to turn this into a proper overlay. All right, give me another second. By the way, this overlay is a Godot game that we built on stream last summer, and it has been working hard for us ever since. And should really, for real, be an overlay now. Let me know if that's not working or something. Hey, Phil Do, welcome to the stream. Did you make this character creator overlay thing? Yes. Yes. We built it on stream. It only took, I don't know, we did it like 2 or 3 weeks we built it. The little characters are free sprites from Kenny NL, and it just randomly picks different pieces and assembles them. But yeah. I'm guessing it's a play on the DVD bounce meme? No. I am out of the loop on memes. I am an overly productive human being, and I don't goof off nearly as much as I should. My goofing off is like, oh, I should really be working on this thing. So instead of that, I'm going to go work on this even more in-depth, harder thing, and I'm just always building stuff. So I'm not up on any of the memes. That would require I don't know, free time that I don't have. Is this stream in other platforms such as Twitch? Yes. So I am streaming through Restream to 2 Facebook pages, Twitch, YouTube, Steam, and Twitter. So any of those places, pick your favorite one, go there. The only one that will get your words actually written on the overlay, though, is Discord. So if you want your words to appear on the screen, you'll have to come over and join the Discord, and then I'll have to give you a little trusted group. It's like all about trying to prevent people from showing up and just saying crazy things, as people on the internet are wont to do. Hey, Smail Leba, you finally got your character on there. I can't quite comprehend what you're holding. Is that a staff? Maybe like a crazy magic staff? Oh, and hey, the Clean, I didn't see you pop in there. How do you keep track of all those chats? I don't know. I don't know how I keep track of anything. I'm the most scatterbrained person alive. Maybe not alive. That's probably not true. I'm up there in a high percentile of scatterbrainedness. Ooh, thanks for the bring. I'm not sure what service gives me those brings. Is that Twitch? Is that when I get a Twitch subscriber that I get those brings? Anyway, thank you, Anonymous Bringer. Please feel free to say something in the chat so I know who you are, so I can thank you by name. How's everybody doing? How are your projects going? Anyone playing anything cool? I've still been playing mostly No Man's Sky, although yesterday and a little bit this morning I was playing Cities VR, the City Skylines port to VR, because I love city building games, and that's interesting, by the way. I don't know how I feel about it yet. It feels like I'm playing normal City Skylines, but in VR, the thing that I'm not sure what I feel about it yet is I don't really feel like I'm there. So there's this side quest micro city building thing called Deism that I really like. It's cool. And the world basically is on the floor. So all the little people are running around at your feet, and I like to sit down on the floor and be like, ooh, here's all my little people. But Cities VR is kind of like 5 DOF. It's not like really 6 DOF. You can walk around, but the y-axis is locked. So I sit down. I'm no closer to the ground than I am otherwise. You can move yourself up and down, but it's with the joystick, and you can't move all the way down to the ground. You can get very close. You can almost get to the ground, and it's still really cool to be down there and see your people. But because I can't make it be the floor, I kind of don't feel like I'm really there. So I don't know. I'll need to play it some more and see how it really feels. Vampire Survivors and a little Valheim. That's what Michael is playing. Cool. I have been wanting to get into Valheim forever, but yeah, haven't managed to. Again, my problem with free time. I mostly just build things and rarely set aside time to play things and that sort of thing. Anyway, yeah. What are we working on today? So last week we were working on my VR Voxel Builder thing. We're going to keep working on that. This week, I suppose I should show it to you, give the little intro so everyone knows kind of what we're trying to do. By the way, I don't know where my camera is, but can you guys see this duct tape? I had a panic this morning. I put this duct tape on here. I have the Elite strap for the Quest 2, which is this hard strap thing. It kind of feels like if you've ever worn like a construction helmet or like a bicycle helmet where you can kind of like tighten it on there. It's awesome. But like when it first came out, there were all these people saying like there's like a kind of scandal with like, oh, they just break right away, they crack. Mine has been fine for the year or whatever I've had this thing, and then I was looking at it today and there was a crack. There was a crack in here, and it hasn't broken through, but I threw some duct tape on there. As like a preventative measure. Like I do not want this crack to get any bigger, and it's probably not the like defective strap thing that other people are complaining about. It's probably the fact that I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old who play VR and you know they're kids. Anyway, let me get into this app and I can show you guys how it works and explain what we're trying to build, and then I'll talk about what I did since last week, and we'll talk about what we're going to work on this week. So let me get this headset on. Double headsets. Okay. Let me first get set up on this side, and then I'll set up the casting on my computer so you guys can see what I can see. And to do that, was the button? Oh my god, I do this all the time. And now I can't remember how. Guardian, Wi-Fi, link. Where's the casting button? Here, I know where it is when I'm already in an app. Let me deploy this to my headset. And then when I'm in app, I can press the Oculus button, and there's like the little casting thing right on there. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. As a sort of preview, we're going to be messing around with rendering stuff today, which, as I've mentioned a number of times, is a weak area for me. I am not super good at things related to rendering. Netcode is my native land. I'm super comfortable doing netcode, any of that sort of thing. I am not nearly as comfortable in the land of rendering, so I will probably need your guys' help a little bit to navigate my way around, and there may be some fumbling. This won't be as bad as if you guys remember that stream where it was primarily math, and I'm okay at math. I'm not as good as like any of you guys, I'm sure. Anyway, so you guys seeing what I'm seeing? All right. So the idea is it is a VR voxel builder. Where's the colors? Here's the colors. Is this supposed to be? I feel like the order of the pages may have changed, or maybe it's just been a really long time since I've been in here. But it's a VR voxel builder where the sort of unique feature is that you can create the voxels that you use to build out of smaller voxels. So I always make a flower. What's something else I can make that's not a flower? Not sure. Maybe we'll make like a TV screen. That's kind of fun. An old-timey CRT TV, a big chunky one. So we can make it kind of big. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tool here. Ooh, that is not being very happy. Doesn't like all of those unmeshed voxels. That's actually kind of a little big. Let me shrink this side by this many. And I think I'm going to cut like a little face out of here And we will use this flatter voxel to be the screen, so there's kind of like an indent. Beep, don't turn, don't turn. I don't want you to turn. Nope. I messed that up. Okay, try again. So the way it decides which way to orient the voxel has to do with the angle between me and the place that I'm putting it, sort of the way that Minecraft does. I was trying to come up with something that I hoped would be intuitive to make the experience of building easy. Why does it keep rotating that way? Is that a bug? Is there a bug we need to fix already? So what this kind of looks like now is like an air filter. Maybe we built an air filter and not a TV. I'm going to try one more time to place this, and if it doesn't work, we'll just roll with we're making an air filter. Okay, so it's placing it flat. I see it flat. What if I just do a little chunk? I wonder if I'm just getting like the wrong angle at the last second, and then it's rotating it. Come on, come on. Jeez. Whatever, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's good enough to introduce this thing. Oop, did I lock it? It seems to be locked. Did we hit something in the debugger? Let's go see. We did not. What happened? We broke it already. Oh no, here we are. Here we are. Back in business. So then I built that voxel. It's now available on my palette, and I can place it. It's clearly got way too many cubes in it. Like I was talking about last time, there is no meshing in this game. Oh, and you can't see what I'm seeing anymore. Okay, where did it go? There we go. Eeh, oof. Everything's breaking down. I have to quit this. So I wasn't expecting it to be quite so buggy, but that's the general idea. We're making a voxel builder where you build the voxels out of smaller voxels. And what we worked on last time was refactoring the way the palette worked. I guess I have to load it back up if I want to show you. But you know, there's a palette in my left hand, and we rebuilt it so that it was built programmatically in part. And then I, since the last stream, finished all of that. The refactor is done. It's now broken up into nice little individual scenes. The section where the colors are, all those colors are basically in a big array, and it dynamically places them where they are, and everything kind of works. The one thing we didn't get to last time was actually putting any labels on those buttons. You may have noticed that there were lots of red buttons that all were just red. There was nothing telling you what the button did. And so the goal for this time is to get some labels on those buttons so that I can send it to other people, see what they think. And it does usually mostly work, except for the massive performance problems. But I'm not looking for people to play it and find bugs. I'm looking for people to play it and give feedback on the feeling of it, the user interface, the user experience of it, to kind of try and figure out what this thing is going to be in the end. Is it going to be an art tool? Is it going to, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm figuring it out as I go. And so we're going to put labels on the buttons, and we're going to try to do it in such a way that the entire palette uses a single material. With one small exception, you may have seen in there like the part where you're picking which voxel you're placing. There's kind of like a transparent cube that goes around the currently selected voxel. And I'm thinking that will still be a separate material because you have to like enable some special flag for a material to be optionally transparent. And my understanding is that is a performance issue. So I'm thinking that will still be a separate material, so it's only needed when you're like on that specific palette page to do that one transparent thing, and then everything else in the palette, I just want to be one material, which may involve us writing a custom shader. I'm not sure. And then you guys will get to see me fumble around with shaders. Of course, I've written some shaders in the past, but it's not a strong area of mine. Rendering in general is not a strong area of mine. Is GLES2 best for VR? On the Oculus Quest, it is. So Godot, for whatever reason, made this choice that the GLES2 renderer would be like the low-end mobile renderer, and the GLES3 renderer would be the high-end renderer. The Quest is a mobile device, and so it runs best with GLES2. Of course, the Quest supports GLES3, and there's really there's nothing about those APIs that means that you couldn't run GLES3 on the Quest, but because Godot decided that GLES3 was desktop and GLES2 was mobile, you basically have to use GLES2, which kind of sucks because there's lots of things that you just can't do in GLES2. But that's what we're doing for now. When Godot 4 finally comes out, there is going to be a Vulkan desktop renderer and a Vulkan mobile renderer, and we will be able to take advantage of the Vulkan mobile renderer in Godot 4, so we won't be limited by the API. We'll just have this lower end rendering thing. So, where shall we start, my friends? And certainly let me know if any part of the explanation didn't make any sense. Hopefully it did. Let's dig in here. So source, builder, VR. The palette stuff is all crammed under here. Oh, something I wanted to show you guys, because it pertained to something we were talking about last week, was these buttons. I was telling you guys last week that I had, not palette block button, just a normal palette button. I was telling you guys that I was not previously aware of the mesh data tool or the surface tool for like programmatically modifying or creating meshes in Godot. And I did end up using the mesh data tool to change the vertex colors on these buttons. So the way that I want this material to work when we set it up is that it will use the vertex colors and then the texture if that applies to the situation. And I don't know exactly what that means. Or we could maybe set like special UVs that mean no UV, and then that's how we'll disable textures on the buttons that just need a color. Or we'll decide on a particular part of this texture because we're going to make kind of like an atlas texture that has all of the button images on it. Maybe a particular part of it will mean don't draw anything. I'm not sure. But for the buttons, you basically configure a color that you pass in as a like export property for the button, and then it modifies the button mesh to set the vertex colors. So we have like essentially unique meshes for each of the buttons, but we're going to have a shared color. Or no, I'm sorry, not shared color, shared material is the goal. So, what buttons should we put? Man, I wish I had this thing running. Let me just get it running one more time, and I'll look at the palette and decide which button should we try to put a texture on first. And then we will figure out the general scheme that we are going to use for getting the textures on the buttons. Okay. Where's my hand? Give me a hand. Okay, so maybe these buttons on the side, because these buttons are like the pages. So this page is the tool page. This page is like the block select. Ooh, that was nice. Confused the controller tracking. And this is the color page. So we'll need to put something that kind of looks like a tool, maybe a wrench. Maybe we'll put a little wrench on there. Here we'll put maybe like a little cube. So it's, you know, the voxel page. And then here for color, I don't know, we could put like a color wheel. Maybe like a little color wheel. Or maybe like... I kind of like the idea of the icons themselves being just a single color. Like maybe it would be like a white 1-bit kind of thing on here. So a color wheel wouldn't really work for that. Although maybe putting a color wheel there with multiple colors would like really make it obvious that this is color, that it's something different. It'll stand out from the other buttons. Or maybe to stick with the 1-bit white thing, we could make it look like a little painter palette. Where we would put holes for the where the colors go or something. I'm not sure. We'll have to survey some icons. But let's start. Yeah, let's start with the tool. Let's put a little wrench here, and maybe let's count approximately how many buttons we have, because we're going to make an atlas texture, and we kind of need to decide how big that's going to be. So there's 3 here, 2 for the tools. That's 5. This one has another 5, so 10. At least 10. I would imagine we might be doing some more. We could just round up to 32. Say we'll allocate space in our atlas texture for 32 possible icons that could go on this palette. And I'm not sure how big. I guess we'll need, when we're picking out the one for the tool, we can kind of decide on what the resolution is for the individual icons. I have been stealing a lot of user interface inspiration from the voxel editor Goxel. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. It has a web version, which we can just sort of open up here and take a peek at to do our inspiration, aka stealing. So here is Goxel. It has like a little like chisel for its tool, a little kind of like a palette-y thing there for the palette part. Something that bothers me. Does this bother anyone else that the like commonly accepted icon for the brush tool is a pencil? Like we've named it the brush tool. It uses brushes, right? Like you give it a shape that you're painting into the scene, but the universal icon for it is a pencil? Does that bother anybody? It bothers me. And then, yeah, I guess for their shape tool, they're using this little cube. Anyway, I like the idea of a wrench rather than this thing. Let's see if we can maybe find some icon packs or something. I have a whole bunch downloaded on my computer as well, but let's just see if we can search for like a CC0 1-bit icons. See what we find. No RPG game assets. These pages look nice. See if we can steal a little inspiration from here. Oh, this one's got a little wrench. Let's go check out Vector Pixel Star. See what he's got going on here. He or she looks like CC by ND. What is ND? No derivs. Okay, my whole plan was to make a derivative work of your wrench here, so I guess okay. This one won't work. What else we got? 1-bit bone pixel, 1-bit Photoshop graphics. This one looks like it's paid even though I put the CC by it. What does Phil Do say? I think the pencil carries over from Paint Photoshop. Pencil means set discrete pixels, where brush means blend into pixels. Yeah, I guess I could see that if you're doing what's the word? Bitmap. If you're doing bitmap art, not pixel art, but like big rasterized type art. I really like these 1-bit icons. I wish I could steal from there, but the stupid no derivatives. Maybe let's just search right on. Okay, no, let's see if Kenny has anything for us. Kenny has given me so many game assets over the years. I am a Patreon supporter of him now. I was on stream one time saying, like, I take so much stuff from Kenny, I really should give him on Patreon, and then I got off the stream and I became a Patreon supporter. Splat pack game board icons. Yeah, we don't need game board icons. But let's maybe search icons here. Game icons. I do own all of Kenny's game asset packs as well, so we could maybe dip in there. But I want something I can make a derivative work of that I can just like take as inspiration, you know? Oh, here's a little wrench. Here's a little wrench guy. It's kind of thicker than I was imagining in my mind, but like this is an okay style. I really liked these ones though. Wait, not these ones. Those pixel vector or whatever guy. What is this? So this is $28. This is something else. We could go over to Itch. Itch frequently has a lot of good stuff. Search for one-bit icons. I clearly did not take the 1-bit to heart here. Interface buttons. Da, 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 da. 16 by 16, that seems like an okay size for what we're doing. 255, what's the license? You can use these icons in any project, commercial or not. You can modify the files for personal use, but you cannot re-upload them. Why can't you just pick a standard license? That makes everything clear. Well, I don't know. Maybe let's just start drawing some things. Or maybe just grab something from here and use it for a minute just to get an idea of the size. We don't have to commit to a thing. Maybe we can even use these 1-bit icons that I was kind of digging. These are also 16 by 16. Let's give them a try. We'll shove them in there and then see what they look like and use that. Oh, here we go. They downloaded. Use that as a way to figure out what the real icons are going to look like. So that was these 1-bit. Come on. Oh, wrong thing. Where's the little download? Little download button, Chrome. Downloads. It was named 1-bit. Why isn't it there? There we go. I don't know why complete on the command line wasn't working for a second. And let's get up Asprite. I guess I have to open my Steam because I bought Asprite through Steam. Phil Do says, by the way, I'm currently looking for icons for my game and having a ton of trouble either finding icons that communicate what I need or finding artists or icon sets willing to do custom work. Hey, Aknakos! How's it going? I feel like it's been a long time since you've been on the stream. Welcome. I hope it's not because the topics lately have been uninteresting. I always worry about that. Every time I'm picking a topic, I'm like, but this is what I want to work on. I hope everyone else wants to work on it too. Okay, so let me get out of the pirate bombs here. I was using that pirate bomb asset pack from Pixel Frog in the rollback tutorial, which the next episode of the rollback tutorial is going to be coming out on Monday. It's already uploaded and everything. I just like to save them for Mondays. I could release it right now, but I'm not gonna. All right, what am I doing? I'm going for games, architect, assets, this. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what these look like on the actual buttons, but I do feel like this style is solid. Like this is a nice undo icon. We are going to need an undo icon at some point. This is a nice cut. This is a nice select. Let's get them on the buttons and see what they look like. I'm going to start a new file here. We were thinking 16 by 16 to get 32. What's a good way to break up 32? So 32, if we did... What's the square root of 32? I should know the answer to that because it's a power of 2 question. What was the square root function in Python? Stupid questions. Okay, let's just multiply some things. So 4 times 4 is what? 16. So double that. We do 4 times 8. That'll get us, so let's say 8 across. Ah! I didn't mean do it. I meant just calculate it. Okay, start over. New 128 by 64. That's a weird. Maybe let's just go up to 128 by 128. We'll make it square. Everybody likes square. So that's double the icons. 64. I don't think we'll really need 64. Let's start grabbing some here. We want that little wrench guy. Aknakos knows the Python questions. Hey Maslam, welcome to the stream. These are my sunglasses? Yes, they are quite nice. You can see absolutely nothing through them. Watching the stream after the fact is fine with me, but it is cool having you on the stream. You always know, not always, but I mean, I guess you frequently know the answer to questions I have or problems I'm having, so it's always nice to have you around and hang out. We are looking for the wrench. Where is the wrench? I saw it when we were looking at it before. Now I'm not seeing it. Give me a wrench, guy. Give me a wrench. Some keys. Here's a wrench. Here we go. Up. Thought I was selecting. I was not. Let's grab this wrench. Copy it over to our new sprite, which I'm going to change the grid for. It's been a while since I've done any pixel art. I'm feeling a little bit lost since I haven't been in Asprite in a while. And for a while too, I was trying to switch to some open source pixel editor since Asprite is not. It's a commercial. Okay, so this already was 16 by 16. Let's bring our wrench in here. That seems a good way to lay that out. All right, file, save as. This will be, we'll say palette. Just call it palette. Since we might end up finding a use for this atlas that isn't tool buttons, but we're definitely going to use just this texture for the palette. And now we need to figure out how we are going to get these icons onto the buttons. I am thinking our palette button will take some sort of export property to say which part of, or like which tile from the texture it's going to use. So maybe that would be a vector 2. Or no, we don't need a vector 2 necessarily. Can we use... No, I'm going to do a vector 2. So I was thinking maybe we could use an integer, and then we would just be picking an ID, and it would like multiply out which one it is. But what if we change the texture size later because we need more space or something? So vector 2 seems like the most future-safe way to go. And we will say... what to call this? Or maybe should we even make it be a rect 2? Is that worth doing? Let's just do a vector 2. So this would be like icon, button, icon, and and remember we need to reserve some sort of way to say there is no icon. So maybe let's X this out and put it in the second slot. And we'll be able to do just, vector 2, 0 to mean nothing. And So what that means is when we do our sort of like mesh rebuilding thing, we'll need to set not only the vertex colors, but also the UVs. And so that means a little bit of refactoring here. So we're no longer going to call this update vertex color. We're going to call it update mesh. So let's find other instances of update vertex color, update mesh. And update mesh we'll need to loop through the vertices, which we are doing down here. And how do we know which vertices? So I guess we're going to need to figure out what all the faces are. We need to figure out which face is the top face. And how are we going to know that? So we are basing this on Godot's built-in cube mesh. Where are we creating this originally? So array mesh new, add surface from arrays, mesh instance, get mesh arrays. Okay, so the mesh instance starts with a cube mesh, and then we're converting it into array mesh so that we can modify it. And we can look at the Godot source code to figure out which face is the top surface, which in our case, because how are we orienting these things? So our mesh instance, which when we place these on the palette, I remember we set the positive z-index pointing towards us. So that would actually be the back face, because Godot usually points the negative z-index. Well, it usually points the negative z-index out into the world. So it's either the front or the back face. We'll figure it out. Let me open up somewhere where I've got the Godot source code. I have looked at this code before in the past, the code for generating the cube meshes. We'll go into SG Physics 2D, because I have the Godot source code there. And this is primitive meshes CPP. And it's right on the cube mesh, because I was in here not too long ago. Okay, so the first two faces are the front and the back, and it's one of those. So the front, is there some way we can think through this? Ooh, Muslim says, ha ha ha, that was the joke. Quick question, are you using Wine to get A-Sprite on Linux, or is there a Linux version I missed? There either is a Linux version, or Proton is just doing it for me. Proton being Steam's fork of Wine that is built into Steam. I'm not sure, though. I heard Krita, Linux export free and open source, has really good tools for pixel artists. So my understanding of Krita was that it was more for creative non-pixel art, so like more like a Photoshop doing like bigger rasterized graphics, like more like painting. But I don't actually know. I've never used it. I know a lot of folks on YouTube are really into it because I see the YouTube thumbnails talking about game dev with Krita. But yeah, I'll have to try it one of these days. The ones that I was trying to switch to was what is the one that has like a really good web version? Me and my daughters use it all the time. What is it called? My brain is just not thinking of it right now. Piskel. Piskel's really nice, and the web version is really good. And there was another one I was trying. Oh, the Godot one, Pixelorama. So I use Piskel all the time because it's got a great web version and it's like much easier to work with than A-Sprite. So when me and my daughters are making pixel art together, we usually use Piskel. So I have a bunch of experience here, and then I was trying to switch from using Sprite for my stuff to Pixelorama because Pixelorama is created in Godot, and I was like, oh, that'd be so cool. I'm going to use an open source one that's also built in Godot, but I never quite got there with it. Aknako says, I'm not an artist, but I try using Krita for pixel art, but it is really not built for it. Yeah, it sounded like it was built more for art, fine art. Making images that look like things as opposed to, pushing pixels for a game. But I don't know. I'll have to trust people who have actually used it. So what was I doing? What were we working on? Okay, so it's either the first or second face. Either the first or second face is the one we need to put the UVs on. We'll just pick one. So let's get up some Godot docs here so I can remember how to use the mesh data tool. Mesh data tool. There is some method to get the vertices for a particular face. Get set face metadata, get face vertex. Okay, so what does this give me? Get face vertex returns the specified vertex of the given face. Vertex arguments must be blah, 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 blah. So it's going to give me a vertex index. That's interesting. So we'll have to loop from 0 through... Oh, and right, the faces, as far as this code is concerned, are quads, but what they're actually going to be is triangles. So we're going to be looking for the first two faces or the second two faces, because of course we're doing triangles. And you see here it adds 6. It's winding 2 triangles for the front and winding another 2 triangles for the back. So we are going to loop over some face index in range of, we'll start with hoping that it's 0 through 1. I have to put a 2 here because it's a non-exclusive set. And then face vertex index in, ooh, thank you for bringing me, Anonymous Bringer. Feel free to say what up so I can thank you by name. Maslam says, I heard of Pixelorama yesterday. It's insane that it was made with Godot. Very cool to hear. Yeah, it's just like art tools always take so long to figure out, like to really get used to using them. Wait, if I put one argument, does it do... Hang on. I want to loop over 2 things. So 2 and 3, right? If I only give one argument? Oh, I'm confusing myself so much right now. We'll find out when this goes horribly wrong or works. So I equals mdt get face vertex, and we want face index, face vertex index, and then... Oh my god, we're actually going to need to know the order of these vertices to set the UVs correctly. So one option also is just to shove numbers in there and see what comes out, and then based on what comes out, we'll know how to adjust it. That might be a good first pass here. So mdt set, not vertex color. How do we set the UVs? Set it vertex UV on the index, and then the UV, which we need to derive from this button icon thing. I'm starting to regret using a vector here because we are going to need to know the width and the height of the texture to calculate the UV anyway. So maybe we should do just an integer. To do the math we need to do right now, we need to create a constant here, which is going to be const icon texture width, and we decided on 128 by 128, which we're going to make that be a float. (128). Okay, so let's draw. I need to draw a picture. to think through what's going on here. That's sketch.io that I usually use for that. Hello, Slacks! Welcome to the stream! A new page here. All right, so we have a texture atlas, which is broken up into our little cells here. And we have a face. And we need to put UVs on it. So specifically, what we're trying to do is get this one. This is going to be button ID 1. And I just realized I did not change the default value here to a integer. I left it as. Okay. And so the UVs here would be, or maybe let me just imagine we're down here, because then I can think about both at once. Whatever, I'll try to think about it, even though this one's going to turn out to be 0. So the X, we have the width of this 128 broken up into our we're doing 16 by 16. How many is that then? I forget already. 128, 16. So that's 8. So we have 8 across. So maybe we actually don't need to keep the, well, maybe we just need to keep the number total that are there. I don't know. Let's get further through the math. I always jump ahead of myself. So first we need to figure out the X and Y on the atlas, which means we're going to take our icon, divide it by 8 to get the row, and then the remainder, the modulo 8, to get the column. And then we can take the column times 1/8, which I think is just the column divided by 8. So we get the XUV of this coordinate here will be column divided by 8, and same for the row. Okay, so let's code that. So maybe I don't need to know the texture width or height. Maybe I just need to know the texture, or maybe we can still call it width and height, but we're going to deal with the number of tiles, not the number of pixels, I think. So the UV, we can pre-calculate the row and column of the pre-calculate the row and column of the icon on the texture. What was that sound? What does that sound mean? So row equals the button icon divided by 8, and we want that to floor, which I think should be the default because those are both integers, and then the column, which is the button icon modulo 8, and 8, of course, we'll do the texture icon texture width. Is it the width that comes into play here? Yeah, the width. And the height is also the width, or the column's also related to the width, not the height. So then maybe let's make a rect that is the sort of like UVs, thinking about it as a quad. So this would be column divided by, I guess, or no, this is, I need to turn these into integers because we define them as floats. And then here we'll do floating math to say icon texture width and then row divided by icon texture height, and then a second vector 2, which this will be fixed, right? Or no. It needs to be the other side. So basically, so column +1, or no, it's all right. It's the width. It's the width and height, not the other point. Okay, so this can be fixed. So vector 2, 1/8, 1/8, and actually I should not use 8. I should use the icon texture width, icon texture height. Why are you yelling at me? What's wrong? Expected comma. Where'd you expect a comma? I'm just not seeing where my syntax error is here. Let's just comment this out, make sure it's not on a previous line. What are you complaining about here? Okay, so it's on a previous line. What did I do wrong up here? Divided by modulo. Is that not how you do modulo in GScript? Or no, it's something earlier. What? What did I do wrong here, guys? Did I mess something up here? VS Code. What are you trying to tell me? Hey, Nyanel. Doing good. The characters are not moving, but that's okay. What? What's happened to the character? Oh, sorry. Aha, there we go. Sorry, I have to keep one of my screens always showing the overlay in order for the characters to move. I have a third screen, but it just won't work with my laptop for some reason. I've tried over and over again. It's some Linux driver thing. I don't know, but I would love to still be able to use this screen for comments and stuff rather than having a whole second computer here. I am not sure what it is that VS Code is complaining at me about here. I'm going to try just like running this. Palette button GD expected. Brr, 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 brr. Is that just because the app is running right now? Like, okay, what if I stop it and press play? And now is... Meanwhile, being on just one screen, yeah, there was a point at which, like, I don't know, I had two screens at work for a while, way back in the day, and didn't have two screens at home, and then I don't know, like 2 years ago or something, I got a second screen, and it like changed my life in a way that it didn't when I had two screens at work way back in the day. And then I was like, 2 screens are good, 3 screens would be even better. So I got that third screen and I was so excited. And it's like a nice portable one too. So I use it as my second screen when I'm traveling because I can connect it to my laptop, and then I still have 2 screens when I'm, you know, not at home. But to have 3 screens would be so good. It would be so good. Okay. You're still complaining at me. Why are you still complaining at me? I don't know. I'm just going to keep writing this code. I do not understand what it is saying I'm doing wrong. Oh, here I have a 0.0. That shouldn't be. But that clearly isn't it because it's still giving the stupid error. So reformat this code a little bit, make sure it. Okay, well. Oh, it was probably that. That little bit of code I started writing but didn't finish. Okay. So now, these UVs, I guess we can't do this as a loop because we don't know which one is which. We have to do them individually. And let's say we have our rect, which, what are the where do I have the docs here for rect2? There's methods on rect2 to grab the points in this rectangle that we've now made, which is what I want to do. All right, so that's position and end. So we have this rect2 that should represent the UVs in the quad. We want to turn them into UVs in the triangles that make up these faces. And so we need to say, I don't know, we're just going to pretend that the first vertex is the top left. We'll find out if it is eventually. And we'll pretend that the second vertex is the top right. So that would be rect position plus vector 2 rect size x comma 0, and we'll pretend that the final vertex is the bottom left. We're not going to be able to do this loop either, actually. Hang on. We're going to need to do both of these literally. Okay, so we'll say face. I think we might need to make a little utility method so that we can do this literally. This will be set face UVs, and we give it a face index and an array of UVs. And then we can turn this into a loop in the utility, and then in the method above, we can like literally pass in the values. So back to looping. For I in range 3, we're going to get the, not I again, J, why not? No, let's give these actual names. This will be face vertex index, and then this will be vertex index equals mtd get face vertex face index comma face vertex index, and then here we'll do mdt set vertex uv, the vertex index, and then the UVs from the face vertex index. There. Okay. Wow. So then we'll do set face UVs. We're going to, I guess, just do the first and second face, even though we don't really know. So that would be set face UVs with the underscore, David. Set face UVs 1 and empty array. And let's just guess that it is like I was saying before. So the top left, the top right, and the bottom left. And let's just see what happens. Let's just do this, see what happens. I guess we have to assign a button icon. Oh, we have to build the material too. Okay, yeah. This is enough to test that bit. We'll probably spend a whole bunch more time in that code in a moment, but we need to do a couple of things. We need to make sure that the right button ID is assigned on the palette. Where's our palette scene? Oh. All right, so in the palette, we're actually dynamically creating these buttons. And for simplicity for now, I'm just going to make it do like button icon ID 1, 2, 3 for these. So let's, I don't know, button icon equals 1, and we'll increment it at the end. Eventually, we'll need some sort of like registry. I'm stuck at the top, get me unstuck. We'll need some sort of registry that connects the different tab pages to button icon IDs, but for now, we just need to get these set. So tab button needs to have its button icon set to button icon that we are incrementing. And we need to update the material to actually use the texture that we are creating. So, where did I put that material? In here. Palette button normal T-res. And this is using a spatial material. We may end up having to create a shader, but we will see. Where is the texture? It's in assets, palette PNG, assign it as the texture. Yeah, I think I really strongly suspect we're gonna need to make a shader because this is not the result that we want. It shouldn't be all black. Let's save this though. I'm gonna go back to A-Sprite really quick and just see what's going on here. So it's transparent on the texture. Hey Logan, welcome to the stream. All I heard as I got here was may have to make a shader. For what? I'm curious. Yeah, Logan, you may need to help me a bit with the shader stuff because I know you were doing a lot of shader things recently and it is not my area of expertise. We are trying to make a single material for everything on the palette. And we're going to use vertex colors to set like a base color and then a texture to optionally draw these icons on some of the buttons that are on the palette. And what I want to happen is that if the UVs are all 0, is that we don't show anything from the texture and just show the vertex color. And we might need to do that with a shader. And also once we see these on the buttons, we're using really low res textures, 16 by 16 on this atlas. And so we may need to write our own shader to make sure that that gets displayed in a pixel art-y kind of way and not just like a blurry, fuzzy, interpolated color kind of way. Right now, we're just trying to make it work at all, basically. So that's where we're at. Oh, and some other people said some more things. Yeah, Aknakos. I should have looked at chat. You had the answer the whole time. Line 98 seems to have a missing paren. Yep, that was totally what it was. Now 100. Sorry, I should have looked over. Oh, hey, Sean Sill. Welcome to the stream. VR Voxel Builders are popular projects right now. Who else is making a VR Voxel Builder? I'm curious. How do you make time for all the stuff you've been doing? He's using Get the Time Machine. I don't know. I actually have done very, very little in April. April like didn't happen because I was sick the whole month. I was like several weeks of not working on personal projects. I was just sick. I still am a little bit sick. You can probably tell from my voice. Oh, you're working on one, Sean. Cool. What's the story with yours? What inspired you to make a VR voxel builder? I would love to see it too, by the way. If we're both working on this, maybe we can get a little bit of cross inspiration from each other. Night Rune. Oh, cool. It's always confusing when with the different names that everyone has somewhere. One name on Twitter, one name on Discord, one name on YouTube. Okay. I don't know why this suddenly turned black over here. I feel like that's wrong, and that maybe we need. Do we need to turn on transparency? Nope. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with this material that we have. If everything turns black, we'll know we did it wrong. We may need to make a shader just to have it do both the texture and the vertex colors. I have no idea how spatial material handles that. So let's run this. Shelved for a bit. There's a Voxel CPP plugin by Xylon. Yeah, so Xylon's plugin is cool. I am not using it largely because I'm not sure what the definition of a voxel is in my universe here yet. Xylon's plugin uses only square voxels. I mean, you can render them smooth, but it's always, a voxel is a single point. It cannot have a shape or any properties on its own, or I'm experimenting with non-square. Ooh, what did we hit? We hit up. Maybe I never fixed the paren. I thought I fixed the paren ultimately, that Aknakos was pointing out, but I must not have. Oh, yep. What's going on here now? MDT isn't declared. Oh, because we need to pass in the mesh data tool as well. Mesh data tool. MDT. MDT. Oh, and this is actually going to crash when I run it, this second line. I'm just going to comment it out for now because the array needs to have exactly 3 elements. All right, let's try again. I was more interested in making a simulation game built on voxels. I worked on StarMade for a while, so I got to see a lot of internals. Interesting. Yeah, simulation is definitely an area where voxels are strong. Destructibility is also kind of thing I'm interested in. Ooh, okay. What happened here? That's interesting. So we ended up with this. What do you think that means? Well, we learned a couple of things. Number one, we are using roughly the right face because it's appearing on the front, so that's good. I don't know how the UVs are relating to this thing though. And it also just seems like which triangle is that exactly? Like oh, and it's also using the vertex color. The vertex color in this case is red, right? So it's apparently taking the vertex color and multiplying it against the texture color, which isn't what we want at all. We want this to either use the vertex color or the texture color. So I think that pretty much decides for us that we are going to need to make a shader to have the kind of rules that we want for that. But like, I'm not sure what this means for the actual UV values. Like, what did I do there? Also too, like, well, I don't know if that's the texture or, Okay, a couple of things. Oh, you guys can't see it. Sorry. Let me get this working again. Sorry, guys. I'm talking all about what I'm seeing, and you guys can't see anything. All right, is it coming through? It's coming through. Okay, so yeah, this is what happened. So we know that we got the front, right? But the buttons turned all black, except for the parts that have some texture on them. And like I was saying, it appears to be multiplying the vertex color by the texture color, which I can tell too because when I hover over it, it's changing the vertex color. So we know the UV numbers are totally wrong. I don't know what it means for how to make them right. And we know that we need to make our own shader. So let's maybe start with the we need to make our own shader part. Since we haven't touched that at all, so let's open up. Where is that palette shader? Here we go. Palette button normal. Normal meaning not unusual, not meaning something to do with like a normal vector. And it's currently a spatial material. We need to make, let me actually leave this one existing, and we will make a new material. So that's new resource, shader material, and we'll call this palette button shader. Why not? I don't think we use this hover material anymore. I don't think that's a thing. So that'll get deleted at some point. And we need to create a new code shader. Shader type, spatial. And yeah, geez, almost dropped my controllers. Again, like I said, I have not written a shader in a while, and rendering is not my primary area of expertise. So you guys will get to see me fumble through this a little bit. I need to remember the syntax for declaring a uniform. Your first 3D shader. So just uniforms, here we go. So yeah, we need, I think that would be a sampler 2D, right, for a texture. So let's go back to the Godot editor. So we need a uniform, probably sampler 2D, I hope. And this will be texture. And then we need to make a, did I do this backwards? This is why I need to look in here. Uniform sampler 2D shader, yeah, okay. Oh, and I probably can't call it texture, can I? Because that's a keyword. Or not? Okay. And it's going to be a fragment shader, so how do I declare that? The fragment. Void fragment, okay. And first things first, let's check if the UVs, if the UV is like 0, 0, we're gonna just say we're not gonna do anything with the texture. And for that to be true, we need to do something a little bit special here, which is to say if button icon is greater than 0, then we do all the UV setting stuff. Otherwise, we'll leave the UVs alone, which means they will be 0 for anything with a button icon of 0. Oop, my screen fell asleep here. Hey, Adrian, welcome to the stream. We are working on making a shader to try and have a unified material for the palette that you hold in your hand in this game, and use that to place the icons on the buttons. Yeah, the uniform name shouldn't be red. I should probably change it. Aknakos, I also know nothing of shaders or renderings. I'll learn by watching you. I hope you learned something. You may learn bad things. You may learn the wrong things. Yeah, let's give this a more generic name. Atlas. It is our atlas, our texture atlas. Okay, so if UV x equals 0 and UV y equals 0, then the color is going to come from the vertex color. And how do I get the vertex color? Godot shader vertex color. Just give me the. Is there like a? Wait. Okay, no, I want to set albedo equals. So it's just color is the keyword. Is there like a Godot shader language reference that could just give me like what all the keywords are? Here we go. Shading language. Okay, but what I want is those magic like output variables. That's what I want to know about. Magic output variables and input variables. Just the magic variables. Uniforms. Oh, yeah, we're gonna need to put some hints on this. We need to tell it that it's Srgb. How do we do that? Built-in variables. Okay, I don't want a list of functions. Oh my god. Or maybe this? Okay. Yeah, so I guess it is just color. Okay, so let's go back here. We're going to say albedo. Albedo equals, I think just color. Else, we're going to say albedo equals, and we sample the texture. Oh, yep. How exactly do we sample texture again? Texture. It's like one of those things where like I know I want the function that samples a texture, but I don't remember like what that is. Okay, so texture. Ooh, thank you for the bringing. Oh, and thanks Logan for the reference here. Let me try and find that. So it was in shading. I was in shading language. Shading reference, spatial shaders. Okay. And what is this? What does this give me? Oh, here we go. Here we go. All these built-ins. That's what I was looking for just a second ago. And does this say anything about Srgb other than that output thing? How do I declare that a texture is an Srgb? Or do I have to like run a command to convert that manually when I'm sampling the texture? Srgb. Ooh, another bringing. Okay, it's important to understand that textures are supplied as color hints require proper sRGB to linear conversion. Renders in linear color space. Textures are supplied as color. So if I put hint albedo, does that tell Godot that I need to convert it from sRGB to linear? Because that's what I want to tell it. I want to tell it to convert from sRGB to linear. I guess I'll try this. Hint albedo. No. You don't like that? What did I do wrong on that hint? Shading language. Oh, I have to put a colon. Colon hint albedo. And what's wrong with this? Invalid arguments. Oh, because albedo is a vec3 and this is a vec4, so we need vec3. Oh, and it's not just that the UVs are 0. Okay, if the UVs are 0 or the color is transparent, we also want to let the vertex color come through. So, or if color dot a equals 0, then the albedo does color red, green, blue. And then we need to sample the texture. What? Oh, okay, there we go. What are people saying? People are saying things. 9L says, but why make a shader? Just replace the icons. Can't you put them in with sprites or so? So my goal is to have a single material for the palette. And if I put them in with sprites, I would basically be making a new material for each of those sprites. And I want to get the material numbers down as small as possible, because again, the Quest 2. Clean, I'm touching shaders only with a long stick and through Visual Shader. Hey, the Clean, I touch shaders by copy and paste and then staring until I give up trying to understand. Oh, cool, yeah, Logan. So I don't do anything with GLSL or shaders very often, but that is a very cool little helper thing. Yep, so RGB. And then we need to sample the texture. So that's Atlas. And then the UV, and then that needs to again be RGB, right? Yeah. That should do it, right? Assuming we set the Atlas and we have our UVs and everything set up as it should be, I think that is all the shader that we need. So let's go back to the material. Let's get out of the actual shader code and let's assign this Atlas to our palette.png. Assets. Palette.png. And it comes through black again, which just feels wrong. I remember in this albedo thing, black albedo, default white. Is there like a default we need to have here for this to not be weird? Let me look at the shader code again. So if there are no UVs, then let the vertex color come through. What if there's no vertex color? Is that just black? Is vertex color black if it's nothing else? Maybe that's why it looks black in the little globular preview. Well, anyway, let's assign this material to our palette buttons, and let's see what happens. So here's our mesh. Here's our material, which we're going to replace with the palette button shader material, which also looks oddly shiny. There might be some other flag or something we need to set, but let's just run this and see what happens. Making debugging a VR project must be kind of painful. I see you wearing that headset all the time. Yeah, so this game, I'm actually planning to make both a VR and desktop version, and the desktop version like works but doesn't, do as many things. So like at some point, I'll be able to do a lot of things on the desktop version. I probably could make like a debug mode. Like this, what we're working on right now, I couldn't do on the desktop version because it involves the VR only thing, the palette. But I probably could make like a debug mode that would like show the palette in desktop, and then I wouldn't have to have the headset. Right now, though, well, that didn't work. Ooh, look at this. That's freaky. What the heck is happening here? I do sort of see our icon. But why? Those buttons should have a button icon of 0. Let's go look at this for a second. Let's go look at the palette button code and make sure that we're setting our UVs the way we think we are, which is to say if button icon is greater than 0, then we go do all this UV stuff. What are you complaining? Integer division. Yeah, that's fine. Decimal part will be discarded. That's what we want. We want the decimal part to be discarded. Like, I kind of don't care that the UVs are wrong right now. All I care about is why is the vertex color not coming through, and why are we getting part of the texture when the UVs should just be blank? Do the UVs get like default values? I don't think so. Should we like, okay, hang on. One thing at a time. We have, here I'll try to do this with it not pulling it down. We have these buttons that should, even if they're showing no texture, should show the vertex color. And why aren't they? And why are we still seeing the texture? Why are we still seeing the texture red? Because we are not multiplying the. I have a feeling our shaders isn't getting picked up. I think that's what's happening. I think our shader's not getting picked up for some reason. Because I did this on the wrong scene. Here we go. This is the palette block button, and we need the palette button scene, and that is where I should be setting our new material. So, where is that material again? Palette button shader. Ooh, it actually already was set. Yeah, okay, so it was set on the scene. Why does it not seem to be doing the right thing? So here's our mesh instance. It's using our material. Palette button shader T-res. Our atlas is set. I'm just gonna try running this again. Maybe I didn't save something, or I don't know, but it just seems like our shader is not getting used because our shader should not do any of the things that we are seeing. It should not be multiplying the vertex color by the texture color. There we go. Okay. So it is not multiplying the texture color by the vertex color, but it is also equally not showing us the vertex color like ever. Let's go take a look at that shader again. Oh, okay, I see a problem. One problem. So first of all, the UVs should be 0. Like, they just should be. I don't know why they aren't. Maybe we need to say less than. Is there like an epsilon value we can grab? Epsilon? No. We'll just type one in. Less than. And this isn't the color we're thinking about. It's this color that we want to check the alpha on. So if the UV, okay, let's do this in reverse. If the UV x is greater than that tiny value, then we are going to get the, we want a vec4. This will be, say, texture color equals, we'll grab this, not RGB, we'll just sample it. And then we need to say if texture color dot a does not equal 0, then albedo equals texture color RGB, and then else albedo equals color RGB, and then that's same for this branch. There might be a way to write this with less branching, but at this point, I just want it to work. Okay, and if I go back here, it's now white, which that seems closer to correct. Yeah. Ooh, is there something wrong in my? Is there a syntax error in here? Okay, let's redeploy this to the headset and see what happens. Ho ho! Okay, we are a lot closer. So it is showing the vertex color underneath the texture which it is showing at the correct color. But it's still putting the texture, ooh, and if I get like the right kind of angle, you can sort of even see it. But it is showing it on all these buttons where it shouldn't be showing it at all. I don't know why what that's about. And this even looks almost correct. Like if we had the UVs set on the second triangle, maybe this would even come through as it should. I just do not understand what's going on with these ones where button icon is 0. Why is it showing it? So let's try and address that. Why are we seeing the texture on buttons that should be untextured? So Logan says, I'm a little confused on how you're expecting UV X and Y to equal 0 to do anything, since that would be about nothing of the UV map, if it makes sense, but I don't fully understand what you're trying to do in the first place. Well, it should be simple what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to have a shader that says, if there are UVs set for the vertices, which there won't be in most cases. In most cases, no UVs will be set. If there are no UVs set, then then just show the vertex color. But in the rare situation where the UVs are set because we are configuring a button icon, then I want you to draw the texture on top of the vertex color, not mixed with the vertex color, but on top of it. And I think the shader is right. I think where this is going wrong is I think maybe the UVs are just not the values that I'm expecting them to be. So let's do a thing where we set the vertex UVs all to 0 before we then do the button thing. Because maybe they just have a weird value that I'm not expecting. I'm expecting them to be 0. And then now they should all be 0 except for the UVs on face number 0, which we are setting with these manual UVs that we calculated based on the button icon. With the idea that like you would say the button icon equals 7 or whatever to get that particular texture from our atlas, which if you didn't see the atlas earlier is just this. we're gonna reserve space to fill this up with icons, but when button icon is 1, it should show this wrench guy on there. So let's try this. Let's see if clearing the UVs makes this do what I think it should do. And hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully my explanation has some sort of sense to it, but let me know if you have any other questions. I would be happy to clarify. Yeah, man. I'm in here. I'm Oculus. Oh, we hit a breakpoint. Oh, expected 2 arguments. I was talking too much while I was typing. I forgot to put the index, I think. Yep, this has to go I, comma, vector 2. All right. UVs tell which part of the texture you want to be drawn on a particular face. So you're basically giving coordinates within the texture to say what should be used on that face. And then each vertex has a different position, and it interpolates between those positions when it's actually drawing it. Okay. Oh-ho! There we go. All right, so the UVs weren't the values I thought they were. Okay, so now we're clearing out the UVs before we add our sort of custom UVs there. And I don't know why these ones. So we're calculating something wrong for these ones. So maybe that's the next thing I'll dig into. So this one should have button icon 1, this one should have button icon 2, this one should have button icon 3, which are blank on the atlas. So we must be calculating that wrong somehow. Let's look at the math for that. We'll maybe print it out and see what it is. Okay, so we're getting the row by taking the button icon, in this case, 1, 2, or 3, and dividing by the texture width, which is 8, which will give us 0 for the row. The column we are getting by getting the modulo 8, which should just give us back the same value because they are less than 8. So that seems right. Then let me just verify that the rect constructor is the way I think it is. I think rect2 takes a position and a size. Yep, position and a size. And we are giving it the column divided by the width, the row divided by the height, which would give us a number between 0 and 1. That's how UVs work. And then the size, same deal. And then we end up with this list of positions. Let me just print this out. We'll add print face with UVs face index UVs, and I have to put these in a little array. And I guess we have to redeploy that because I'm not editing this in the editor, I'm editing it in VS Code, which doesn't trigger the hot reload. Okay. So, output overflow, show less stuff. Okay, I can trigger it to do it for just one button. And let's do just this button. There we go. So, does that look remotely correct? Stop moving. Let me think about this. Let me copy and paste this somewhere so I can just have it stop scrolling. We'll make a little scratch pad in VS Code here. Scratch pad. Open scratch pad. We'll go to our text one. There. Okay, so if we're imagining this is the top left, top right, bottom left, the second button icon would be 2/8 over, so 0.25. That seems correct. The top right would be 3/8, 3.75. And then the bottom right, yeah, those numbers seem correct. So it isn't a problem with the math. It's a problem with what I think the math should be, I guess. Because there should be nothing in this part of the texture. It should be empty, I think, right? Or wait, no, hang on. So then this goes over this way, and this one comes 0.25 down by 125. Yeah, those UVs seem right. Those seem right to me. That part of the texture should be empty. Because we're so this is button ID 1. This would be button ID 2. And so this would be 0, this would be 0.125, this would be 0.25, 0.25 on the X, 0 on the Y, and then this is 0.375 over here. And then this one is the 0.25, 0.125. I don't see any way in which this isn't addressing an empty part of the texture. Let's take a break from that problem and start on a new problem. So we're setting the UVs for one of the triangles on the front face, and we need to set the UVs for the second triangle. And we don't know the order of the vertices, not really. I mean, we can look in the code, but it's confusing to figure out. I guess we could compare these values to these values. Previous row plus I2, so the second the second vertice in the first list is the first vertice in the second list. So what does that mean? We can take this second vertice and make it the first. And so then let's assume we are going to the bottom right. Of course, I don't know if that's true, but let's just try that. And we'll see what we get. And then this one should be the bottom left again, which is also a vertice that we used before, which is this. When we set the UVs this way, let's see what we get. And the, oops, didn't mean to go look at my email there. The goal, what we're hoping will happen, is that that first button will show the entire wrench rather than this weird skewed part of the wrench, which it's showing currently. Hey, it looks terrible. It looks like absolute crap, but it's there. And that appears to have fixed this problem. I'm glad I took a break from trying to solve that problem because it appears that solving the problem before it did it. So why does it look so janky? Let's it must be like the UV being a little bit off. But in what way, I guess, is the question. So also too, it has this hole in it, right? It has that hole in it, which it is not displaying as a hole. Maybe that's the whole thing. There is there is an alpha here, and maybe it's just coloring in the alpha, and that's why we're having a problem. So let me go look at the shader. And or wait, hang on. So is there a way to express this without thinking about it as absolute zero, because floating point values are a problem. So if texture color A is, we'll say less than 1, that's also very precise. Less than 9? Or no, this is the opposite. Okay, if texture color is greater than 0.1, if the alpha is greater than this relatively small value, then we draw it. Does that make sense? We want, if there's any kind of or maybe just greater than 0? Well, let me try the 0 one here. Let's just see what that does. What does that do? And does that trigger our live reload, or nope. Okay, or at least it didn't work if it did. I hope it makes sense what I'm trying to do here. There's supposed to be a little let's go back to the Oculus view here. There's supposed to be like a little like blank line in the middle of that icon, and we need to make sure that if anything in the texture has an alpha value, oh, we are closer. Okay. We're closer here. So part of the problem might be that we're like interpolating a little bit. we don't want to like smoothly interpolate between like color and non-color. We want these things to have hard edges because it's like pixel art. And so we may actually need to change the way the shader works to give us those hard edges as well. So maybe we have to say if the alpha is like really close to 1, then that's where we draw it. Or can we say if it equals 1? Is that a thing? The alpha has to equal exactly 1. Yamonoculus. Let's go. Ooh, that looks horrible. Oh my god. I mean, it gave us sharp edges. So, okay, for folks who aren't like super familiar with shaders and how they work, is it's rendering like each pixel independently, and everything is floating point values. And so when it's giving me a color from the texture, we're actually asking for a value that isn't like on a integer grid. It's like a value in between 2 pixels, and it's interpolating the color between the 2 pixels that it's in between based on how close it is to each one. So we don't get like exact color values for like a pixel we grabbed. And it appears like what I did made it basically remove like the pixel outside of the ones that we are seeing, because we're only drawing things where it's exactly 1, and on this sort of like extra row of pixels that we're now missing, it must be some value between 0 and 1. When I did that like greater than thing before, that had the result of like rounding these edges. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Had the result of rounding these edges because we are now seeing the interpolated values instead of getting a hard cutoff. So we may need to do something fancier with how we are doing these, getting the values from this texture. This may lead to some Googling of some shader stuff. Let's try and get those hard edges and to only draw when, you know, it's not transparent. But how do we know it's not transparent? Not like partially transparent. Is the icon filtered on import? Yeah, it probably is. That's a good thing to check. I should probably try disabling the filter and seeing what that does for us. That was a great idea, the clean. So where is that? That's palette here. Let's go import. Let's turn off the filter. I honestly, legitimately don't know if the filter helps us or hurts us in this situation. Because like even if it's not filtered, the shader is still going to be interpolating, and like depending on how we solve this problem, maybe we actually want it to be filtered. I don't know. Ho-ho! Okay. Apparently we do not want it to be filtered. That looks like the icon, guys. That looks like it. That is telling me something that we'll need to contend with here, which is I think we need a border of some kind. It looks a little weird where it's like flush with the button and then not flush on this side. Like some sort of consistent border I think would look good. Also, I'm surprised about the border on the right, because is that in the atlas or not? I think it's not in the atlas. I think the UVs on the right side might be 1 pixel too big. Or no, it does have a border there. Okay, no, then that's good. Then that's good. The easy thing to do here, I guess, to create a border would be to just delete this. Again, we grabbed icons that have a no derivative license. We have to use them as is. So I guess we'll, be redoing these at some point. But I think, let me just take a look at what that looks like with the that border removed. And thank you, The Clean, for basically just solving the whole problem there. Turn off the filter. That was the answer. Yeah. There we go. So let's throw some more icons on these buttons. How are we doing on time? Jeez, oh my God, 4 minutes? Okay, let's just throw 2 more icons on here to see that it's like doing the thing. But guys, like we came, we saw, we conquered. I hope my explanations weren't like totally wacky and nonsensical, but like we set out to do a thing and we did it. We wrote a shader. Yeah. We're awesome is the summary. Anything that looks palette-y in here? Or in something, so we have tools, we have blocks. What's something that looks blocky? And again, keeping in mind, we are not keeping these icons because we're going to need to redo them. This one looks kind of blocky. What is that, a cracker? The cupcake, should we put the cupcake or the bread? Yeah, let's just throw random stuff on there. This doesn't matter. We're redoing these later anyway. Let's just throw some random stuff in there to test that the system is working. We're going to put the bread. And what's something else? The ice cream? Or maybe this flower, because that kind of has like a sort of like a palette kind of look to it. Oof, and it's going to look weird because it doesn't have the border, which we now know we need. Which also we could solve by like just putting a 1 pixel border between everything. We'll need to change the math to make that work. But let's just try this. Does it make sense to put the icon on the over faces of the cube too? Over faces. I'm not sure what you mean by over, or other faces, by the other faces. No, because we only want to put it on the front of the button. These are buttons. So we really just need the UVs to be set on those 2 triangles. Look at that. Look at that. We have a single material for this, for every mesh in this palette. So for folks who don't know anything about rendering, I also don't know anything about rendering, but I know this, which is that every material that you use leads to a state change in OpenGL, and I think a draw call. And you want to have as few state changes and as few draw calls as possible for performance. And so by making this whole entire hand be a single material, I think that means everything that's drawn here is a single draw call. So if we look at our world, the grid that's advancing out from us, that's a single material, so a single draw call. It isn't currently, but my goal is for everything drawn in the voxel world to be a single material. So that's 1 material, 2 materials for the world, 3 materials for the palette. This is an extra transparent material for drawing around here, which is only visible if we are on this particular page, so maybe 4 materials. This floaty junk, I'm going to try and get that isolated down to maybe reusing some of these materials. Maybe it can reuse the transparent one here. And we could have this down to like maybe 5 materials for the entire scene, for everything that comes in this game, which would be really awesome. That would be really good. So we did it, guys. We did it. I am going to need to redo those icons. But yeah, we're awesome. The verdict is in. The clean says it's slow though. Are you're referring to the game being slow, or like the material thing that we're doing being slow? Because the game is slow due to the lack of meshing. We're not doing any meshing on the voxels. I think the voxel add-ons for non-VR stuff in Godot also does everything with one material also. That's quite the wizard stuff. Yeah, so at some point, I am going to have to add like real meshing to this. Either I will write it, or I will start using some library. I don't know. But yeah, the goal is once the voxel world can be properly meshed, it should be performant. Referring to the Microsoft Edge from the message before? I'm not sure what you're referring to, the clean. The Microsoft Edge from the message before. Well, anyway, guys, good stream. Thanks everyone for coming. This was awesome. And I'll see you on the Discord or in YouTube comments or wherever. And talk to you next week. Or stream with you next week, I guess I should say. I'll talk with you anytime. Anytime you want to talk, I'll talk with you. But stream with you next week. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.